that match the picture. That's amazing. What's happening on this page?
It's in my house and it's in my car and it's the driveway.
And then on the last page, what did you write in your book?
Oopsie, the author.
And who's the author? Woohoo! He's an author!
That's yours? Kind of like yours?
Kind of like mine. You can draw her here. This is your book. This is Lavagna's book. So start with Lavagna first. What does she look like if she's my age? What does she have? Okay. Oh, I thought that looked like her.
Join the classroom, C1. Come on, keep going. Oh, stop. Everybody stop. Stop, stop. Somebody, our engine does not have a shoe on. Good. Okay, now join the train back to the class line. And the train. Join it, join it. Okay, let him get in again.
Nice manners.
Look, I made a cube.
Thank you, Shanti. Is it good?
Yeah.
Sedap?
Yeah.
Foto kah? Good? That was the zingamababble.
The snake.
No, I disagree. It's not a snake. It was a...
Hi, my name's Andy Torres. I'm the director at the American Embassy School here in New Delhi. I actually speak to you today from the United States. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I wanted to step in and begin this conversation today with just a little bit of information about our opening. Many parents have been asking me and my leadership team about our opening, when we will be opening, and the manner in which we will be opening American Embassy School. After some great amount of discussion and concern for the safety of our children and our faculty and our community, we have decided to delay our opening face-to-face, but instead open fully online on August 4. And today you're going to hear from Mr. Bellamy and his team about the manner in which they will address the needs and skills that are necessary for your children to be successful as they move into a new school environment with a new classroom and new teachers, but at the same time, keeping in mind for the future. And we are hoping and considering in the future to be in the next 3 weeks, likely, that we would have the opportunity to begin face-to-face instruction on campus. That's 3 weeks after the 4th. So later on in August, we're planning on implementing what we're going to call hybrid learning. And the hybrid learning model will allow a balance of some in-classroom time with also some learning at home. Mostly the home learning will be focused on the students who have yet to return to our campus or to Delhi. And we're hearing from many families that travel is still a concern for them, and that flights and visas back to India are still not processing nor being scheduled. We understand that. We're concerned in the same way. For many of our families, we're having the same problem. Our faculty and myself, for instance, are waiting to get on airplanes to come to Delhi or to return to Delhi. So once again, and I'll state this as clearly as possible because I wanted to get this out of the way before Mr. Bellamy and his team began their presentation. But we will be starting August 4th in an online environment. And we will likely be doing that program in the way that you will learn today for approximately 3 weeks, likely 3 weeks. We hope that this removes some of the uncertainty moving forward. We do this with an abundance of caution as we move forward. We must focus on the well-being of your children, the well-being of our community, and the well-being of our faculty and staff. Thank you so much for coming to what is now, I believe, our 5th webinar that we have been holding with parents. We will be doing 2 more, one tomorrow for the upper elementary school, and then we have a focused literacy webinar on Thursday led by our middle school team. Once again, thank you so much for attending. We at AES appreciate your love and support. We care deeply for your children, and we can't wait to get them back in our classrooms where we can do our work and enjoy our community once again. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Good morning or good evening or good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in today. And welcome to our webinar on the reopening of our pre-K3 and pre-K4 classes at AES for the 2021 school year. I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Charles Bellamy. I'm the new elementary principal for AES beginning next year. I'm coming to you from Texas, where I've been the last 4 years. I have made a few stops internationally. I've spent time as an elementary counselor in Budapest, as an assistant principal in Hangzhou, China, and as a principal in Yaoundé, Cameroon. I'm really looking forward to joining AES. My family, my wife and my daughter will be coming with me. My wife will work in the elementary school and my daughter will be in grade 11. Again, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day today to join us and give us an opportunity to share some information with you. Just some housekeeping before we get started. The chat is disabled. There won't be a chat feature. We will have a Q&A feature where you can post your questions as we go through the webinar. We ask that you only post one question at a time. Wait for that question to be answered before you post another question. If everyone is posting multiple questions in rapid succession, it gets difficult for us to keep up and make sure that we're answering questions as we go. You'll find the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. You can see where the green arrow is there. If you click on that Q&A feature, that's where you can type in your questions and see responses. I have some members of our elementary leadership team.
I apologize. It seems that there's an issue with the screen. Let me restart that.
With us today, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi there, my name is Scott White. I'm the assistant principal in the elementary school, and this is my 6th year as assistant principal. This is actually going to be my 16th year at AES, and my wife and I have been teaching overseas since 1998, but we've been fortunate enough to raise our 3 daughters at the American Embassy School for the last 15. Our oldest daughter will be in her 2nd year of university, and our younger 2 will be in 8th grade and 11th grade.
My name's Nikki, and I am the lead teacher for the pre-K. I've got 4 children of my own. 2 children are at AES in grade 4 and grade 6. This is my 2nd year at AES, but I have been teaching for a long time, and this is my 13th year at international schools.
Hi there, I'm Kelly Arrington, and I will be one of the elementary counselors. This will be my 1st year at AES, and I will be joined by my husband, Jeremy. He won't be a teacher, but he'll be a part of the AES greater community. I have been a therapist in outpatient clinics and then transitioned into being a therapist in schools and a school counselor. For the last 7 years, I've been in Minneapolis schools, most recently at an international school stateside, mostly with some Latinx communities and Somali communities, and I'm really looking forward to taking that experience stateside and bringing it over to AES.
Hi, I'm John Stein. I'm the other new elementary school counselor. This will be my 1st year here at AES. I'm originally from New York City, born and raised. I'm currently in Sacramento, California, staying with some family. And I'll be joining AES with my partner, Carly Anderson, who will be the middle school counselor. We're both coming from South Korea. We were school counselors at a school on Jeju, which is a small island off the mainland. And I was actually a founding school counselor opening up a new school over there. I'm really excited to be here.
And welcome, I'm Wendy Geyer. I'm the elementary librarian. This is my 7th year at AES. I've been both a classroom teacher at the school here and now elementary librarian. This is my 3rd year in this role. My family's also with me. My husband is Evan Geyer, who teaches in the elementary school. And our 2 children are also in the elementary school. I have a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. So we're excited to work with you.
I'm going to get started today talking about some very important statements and ideas that we really cherish at AES. And this, what you see on the screen right now, is our mission statement. And I'll let you read that. But I want to let you know that a central tenet of that mission statement is that we want students to have a joyful pursuit of excellence in academics, athletics, arts, and service. We feel that if we're doing our job well and we are servicing kids the way that we want to, that they will be excited to come to school every day, that they will be excited to learn things and will be excited about being a part of our community. We also want them to be lifelong learners and responsible, compassionate global citizens. Everything we do at AES is driven by this statement. The decisions we make about instruction, about classrooms, we rely on this statement as a guiding principle for us. We do have core values. They're listed there. I won't read through each one, but I do want to draw out, one that I think is important at this time as we look at reopening our school in an era of a pandemic that we've all been touched by. We do believe that students flourish in a community that is caring. And one of the things that we're focusing on now is, the social emotional well-being and how we're going to help students reconnect in whatever format that we have available on August 4th. We want to make sure that our kids feel warm, feel accepted, and feel safe and excited about learning with us. We do also believe that we want to be a culture of belonging. We want all members of our community to be active in support of our learners and their academic, social, emotional growth. That's a joint and shared responsibility, and we want to draw on our diversity. We believe that we are all better off when we recognize and value the diversities of others and take that value into consideration as we look at supporting our learners. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Scott to talk a little bit about our early childhood program.
Thanks, Charles. These three beliefs we hold very strongly. We know that children develop at different rates. Just as students learn to walk and talk at different times, we also expect that they're going to be ready and learn to read and write and become mathematicians in their own time. And so when they're ready, we'll provide opportunities for them and we'll provide them with additional guidance. A big part of that is play, whether it's structured or free play. We know that students learn to make sense of their world through play. They begin to navigate relationships and develop language skills and thinking and problem solving when they're given opportunities to learn through play. And that children thrive in an environment that's warm and caring. As Charles said, this joyful pursuit is really about making sure that students love coming to school. That is foundational for them for the rest of their academic career. If they're happy coming to school and they feel like they're in an environment that's trusting and caring, they're going to do their best work. And that we provide them with adequate resources and opportunities to engage in learning. And so in the next slide, some of you might be aware and others not that we are renovating all of our learning spaces. And this is particularly important for pre-K because over the last few years, we've been spread out on the campus. And this is an opportunity to bring all of our classes together into one space. We know that in our Reggio-inspired approach, it's important for kids to have freedom to move and to communicate and have intentional spaces to learn. And so in this new space, and you'll see a couple of the construction pictures there, an important part of Reggio is that they have access to the outdoors. And in Delhi, we don't always have that. And so we're doing our very best to bring the outdoors inside as well. You'll see that there's a tree house with an actual tree that was taken from our campus. There's an outdoor space, a patio for learning. But within this space, all of our students will be with their smaller classroom groups at different times throughout the day because building that community is important. But again, in Reggio, a lot of what they do is really in small groups, and that we're building spaces that are intentional for learning when they are in those small groups and moving throughout the space during the day. Nikki will talk to you a little bit more about what a day is like in pre-K.
Thanks, Scott. So a typical day in pre-K when we are back in the classroom will look like this or very similar. So in the morning, parents will bring the children, they will drop them off in the playground, kisses, hugs. We try and make this a very non-stressful time for the children. So we always say it's best just to drop and run. So if children feel that parents are starting to get anxious, then the children get anxious. So we try and encourage parents to say goodbye, kiss and hug, off you go. And then the children can come in with their class family. What we call the class family is, we define it as the group of children that kind of belong with one particular teacher. So my class family would be the group of children that I'm assigned to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those children will be with me for the whole day. For example, when we have exploration time, we want to give the children the opportunity to go to a group that they are comfortable with and that is interest-led for that particular child. But we also know the importance of having attachment with young children. So there'll be one teacher and one TA that is assigned to your child. We also, during the day, have normally 2 specialist lessons. So the children have the opportunity to go to a specific teacher that is skilled in a particular area, on top of all the time they spend in that beautiful new pod area as well. So as Scott said, we are a Reggio-inspired programme. We are multi-age, so we do take children from 3 years in our pre-K programme. And we strongly believe this is best practice and beneficial to all. The children model with each other, and as we all know, 3 and 4-year-olds can be vastly different, but then they learn so much from each other as well. So it really does work, and we see that really does work. We also, on top of Reggio, follow a structured curriculum named the Creative Curriculum. This allows us to follow themes and topics, and then we can really adapt them according to the children's interests and needs. So we can take it whatever way the children want to take something, and however we feel is really going to benefit their learning. We also track the children using something called gold standards. So this enables us to see where each child is and to help with their next steps and help them progress in all the areas of development. And as I said, a big part of our day in pre-K is called exploration. So this is a time when all of the 5 teachers, the 5 main teachers, and then all of our amazing TAs as well, offer an interest-based activity, and the children get to choose where they'd like to be. So for example, I might offer a numeracy-based clay activity, for example, and another teacher may offer a tea party exploration, as you can see above. And the children learn so much from these activities. They learn about weighing out, so they're learning numeracy, they're writing down, so they're learning literacy, they're reading things, they're learning about the smells, about where things come from, and a lot of nature-based activities as well. And when we're doing this, we're concentrating on the process and the learning rather than just the finished product. So we really want the children to be aware that so much goes into the whole process of what they're learning. And then, as I said, the children also have their specialist lessons, and these include music, art, counselling, and PE as well. So I'm going to hand over to Wendy.
Thanks, Nikki. We are so excited to welcome your children to our library this year. We have a well-trained staff of 5 who are passionate about our school, our students in our library. As a library, our main goals for your child are for them to enjoy reading and have fun. And additionally, we support the pre-K students in developmentally appropriate ways with literacy skills and language development being high priorities. We enjoy providing read-aloud experiences to your children and also pride ourselves on providing an abundant number of reading resources, whether digital or physical, to support not only your child, but also you as parents. We structure our library programs to be exciting and interactive so that these youngest students will have opportunities to begin to establish a love of books and to promote their critical and imaginative thinking. Let's see, our next slide shows our library programming, which supports our youngest students through integrated curriculum support and collaboration. We have author visits, which typically occur each year in February. And we have other library events, such as reading buddies with our young AES authors. You can see those in the pictures. The big goal of our programming is to provide exposure to and interactions with books and literature in positive ways. And we look forward to doing this with your children in the coming school year. Some of our services that we're offering right now during the summer is library checkout via curbside pickup. I do suggest that you take a moment to take a screenshot of this page, and I can send the web addresses posted here in the Q&A if you'd like to request that. With our summer curbside service, parents and students can request up to 10 items per person from either of our libraries, our elementary or our middle and high school library. And we also offer digital resources. Our ebooks are offered online through our Sora app, and you and your family can have access to a collection of over 2,500 ebooks and audiobooks through that platform. We hope you take advantage of these services, and I do invite you to email me. My email's on the screen. Directly if you need help or have questions about any of this. And now I'm going to pass it back to our assistant principal, Scott White, so that he can talk a bit about our after school activities.
Thanks, Wendy. You know, IPOP stands for Individual Power of Passion, and this is our after school activity program in the elementary school. Throughout the year, we have activities that operate on a quarterly basis that range, as you see in the photos, anything from Minecraft to handicraft to sports and athletics. On top of IPOP, after school and on weekends, Wendy may have mentioned already too that our library and makerspace are also open for children after school and on Saturday mornings to be able to go in with parents supervised, to be able to make and do and to read together as a family to continue to promote that culture of reading at home.
Okay, so, you know, Mr. Bellamy mentioned at the beginning, but social emotional learning and supporting that is really a big key of our work here at AES. John and I wanted to address a few things briefly. You know, we have the opportunity and privilege to support multiple communities, students, teachers, and families in their social emotional learning. It's really important to us when we support students that we match their developmental stage, right? And so as Nikki mentioned, they have 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and that can look really different. And we will support those students no matter where they're at. I also know that we will work closely with Nikki as the teacher, and she will communicate with us back and forth of things that are going on, ways that we can help, and directly to you guys as families as well.
And with the multiple communities that we support, we also have multiple ways in what that support looks like. So individual support will essentially be checking in with students and of course with parents. Having conversations that reflect on your student's experience, assessing their needs, and providing support in such areas, whether it's teaching a coping strategy or problem solving, or just having a conversation so they feel connected and a part of their community even from afar. We also have small group support, whether it's certain peers that are going through the same challenge that they could learn from one another, or with families who need additional parent education or just some opportunity for collaboration to come up with solutions. And of course, we want to support the teachers, and if there are class-wide concerns, we are there to support and consult, and we'll look into other ways to provide support in the class setting.
And lastly, you know, this work is ever changing, always growing. We're always assessing. You know, Nick, you mentioned that they use gold standard. There's different ways that John and I will help assess, and we will meet your child wherever they're at, and we will work with them based on their needs. And that may mean that sometimes we will meet individually and sometimes as groups. We want it to be as collaborative as possible, and we want to ensure that you and your students feel connected, safe, and a strong part of our community, whether that means that we're not right next to each other or we're in the classroom together, that we all feel connected.
And with that said, our email is on the slide, so please reach out to us. Kelly and I are so excited to be your counselors this year.
All right, thank you, team. I know that today our team has shared a lot of information with you about what things look like when we're on campus and what our programs look like when kids are in the classroom. As Dr. Torres shared at the beginning, that, you know, there's a high degree of likelihood that we may start in an online format. And I wanted to take a little time to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is the campus connected learning, where we're delivering things online. We've taken parent feedback from the spring, and we've Mr. White, Scott, and I, and teachers and faculty have really dug into that. And there are some things that we found that were sort of thematic through there. Some of them were about predictability of schedules and consistency of communication, and having a centralized place where parents can go for information that's consistent. And so we're working very hard through that feedback. One of the things that we're working on right now is developing grade level sites where information and schedules and resources for you as a parent would be organized by grade level in a format that is consistent across grade levels and within grade levels, so that you have, you know, a reduced number of places that you need to go to find information. We also believe that this will reduce the number of emails and sort of that fatigue of emails. If we can house that information in a place where you know that you can go and find it, and it will be there, and it will look the same across grade levels. We know that time zones are an issue. If we're in an online format, we'll have people in time zones across the world. We're looking at ways to address that issue, because what we are committed to is that each student should have live daily interaction with their teachers and other students each day. And so we're looking at how we can make that possible across time zones for grouping students, or by adjusting our scheduling, or having multiple sessions of something, so that people in different time zones are have access to that. But I want you to know that we are working hard, and we know that that it's important that we find ways for your kids to feel connected, even if we're in a online environment. And we will have more information for that as we move forward, and we'll have greater detail for you as we move forward. And we will have future webinars for you. And here's an outline of what's coming up. If you are a returning family, or even if you're a new family, but you're going to have a student in pre-K, but also one in one of the other elementary grade levels, then tomorrow there is another webinar for elementary K through 5. We have a social emotional learning webinar coming up on July 21st, where you're going to get more details about the types of things we're going to do to support your students in those areas. EAL and learning support will have a webinar coming up on July 22nd. And then on the 27th is when we will provide you more information about what things are going to look like at that time, whatever the environment is at that time. If we know it's going to be online, then we're going to share, more detail at that time with you about what that would look like. And then there's a few more. August 1st, we're going to have a webinar about setting up for success at AES. And then on August 3rd, there will be a virtual orientation for families. And August 4th will be the reopening. Hopefully we're ready for a joyful reopening here at AES on August 4th. For elementary, that reopening means our Get to Know You Day, where we will have meetings with families. Again, that may be virtually, but we will have that Get to Know You Day. Our returning families will be familiar with that. It will not be like a full school day, but it will be time for families, students to meet and chat with the teacher and kind of have a get to know you session before we come to the classroom on August 5th or go to our virtual program on August 5th. At this point, we are through with our formal presentation. And we're going to move into the live Q&A. I want to thank all of you. I want to tell you how hard the staff is working and how excited they are about our reopening on August 4th. And now we'll move into the Q&A session. So at this point, we will start looking through the Q&A. If you have additional questions, we'll spend some time here getting to those. There are a couple of things that came up that I want to reiterate that about access in terms of online. We are going to do everything we can, and we are planning and acknowledging that time zones is something that all of us are going to have to deal with in an online mode. We are committed to finding ways to give your students the opportunity to have access to teachers, to have live interactions with teachers and live interactions with other students, no matter where they are in the globe, on the globe. I don't have specific details today. We will have those on the 27th, but I can tell you that we are committed to making sure that we're equitable about that access and giving students opportunities to connect in person with teachers and other students. Let's see what else is out there. At this time, I don't have a specific answer on how many students are going to be in pre-K. And I could let Nikki, could you maybe talk to what traditionally our size has been for a pre-K classroom?
Sure. So we have 5 main teachers in pre-K, and they have a lovely TA working alongside them, co-teaching. And our number of students is a maximum of around 16. Obviously, we are expecting that to be slightly lower this year, but that's the maximum we would take in one class family. And then, as you saw from the amazing new pods, the children will then have the chance to be mingling with other class families within the pod area.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. The question about how many hours a day do you think we can ask a 3-year-old to spend online? That's one of those questions that we are working. We've talked to other schools, experts. We're reading research on a daily basis. Clearly, it will not be as long as we would expect a 3rd, 4th, 5th grader to be online. But we think, depending on what the activity is and what you're asking the student to do, the duration of one session online could be 30 minutes. It could be longer. We are going to plan for things that will vary in time. We might have class meetings that
that don't last 30 minutes, but we may have activities that the teachers and our teacher assistants are leading students through that may be longer than that. What I can tell you is that we're going to take into consideration the developmental stage of every child in our school as we develop these programs and we put together and talk about the activities and the things that we're going to expect them to do or ask them to do. Clearly in an online mode, we're going to be asking parents for some level of support, particularly with our youngest learners. They're going to need some help, even with what we provide directly in live sessions. They may still need guidance, even with that. But we will try to do what's developmentally appropriate. At this point, I can't give you an exact specific amount of time, and it may vary from day to day. We may be able to do some things on Monday, and as the week goes along, that may go down a little depending on the activities. But we are committed to giving them what's developmentally appropriate and making sure that we adhere to those beliefs that we shared in the beginning about pre-K. If school starts, is there a device for children to keep their distance? How do you sterilize or take care of that? We have a team of people that are working on that. Ms. Collins, do you want to maybe talk to that a little bit?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Nada Collins. I was formerly the elementary school principal, so I'm excited that I get to be here with Charles as he steps into this role, and I'll be moving to a school-wide role as deputy director. We are not going to have partitions for the children at this time. We know that that isn't part of our planning for our pre-K. We are putting partitions in some high impact areas. I think that you heard Nikki Edwards speaking earlier to the opportunity for the students to have the class size that they normally do, and 15, and even the potential for some interaction amongst classrooms. But in this particular time, we know some of those ideal educational tenets that were developed in the pre-K will need to be considered differently. And so within that regard, that the children might be coming in smaller sets. We may not have the entire class. We likely won't have the entire class together with one teacher, one TA, as we have had, but that we might have smaller groups of students for shorter periods of time to decrease the level of interaction. We do know that social distancing, which I would love to rebrand as physical distancing, because we don't want to distance socially, but we do want to distance physically. We know that that's still going to be an ongoing challenge for us with the entire elementary, with the entire school, but certainly with our pre-K students and that are going to seek out physical contact from the adults and from the kids. Many schools that we have talked with have had different models of how they've approached that. We're examining all those as we look for the best model in terms of what's the personal protection equipment that's appropriate for our pre-K students. We've investigating face shields, face masks, and we're investigating some masks that have a plastic shield that allows you to see the face. It's instructionally really valuable with this age. It's also just really pleasant to know whether or not somebody's laughing at a joke you made. And so having the ability to see each other's reactions and have that humane connection is going to be really important. So we're hopeful that we find that we can source those within Delhi. Any equipment that is of either the face shield or of a specific mask style that's got the plastic shield, we would be providing those for the students. We would not ask students to bring those from home. Cloth masks, I think it's important that students are finding what fits and feels comfortable to them. So those might be items that parents are sourcing and sending in for their kids. I know we've ordered probably 5 different styles in our house to try and figure out what people feel comfortable with. The last thing I'd mention is that we are meeting CDC standards, for cleaning and sanitization of all of our areas. We're reducing some of the manipulative, some of those things that we love having for kids to touch and play with. We're really minimizing that so that we're keeping minimizing the opportunity for us to have to sanitize at the same level. We want to really reduce the opportunity for them to share. Kids won't have common pencils, common crayon baskets. Those will be things that are each individually assigned. Those are some of the things we have in place.
So thank you, Nate. I appreciate that, and I just want to reiterate that you know, everyone in today's pandemic environment has questions about safety and processes for keeping everyone safe. I just want to reiterate what Dr. Torres said at the beginning of this webinar. We are going to make decisions. We are going to plan. We are going to take measures. We're going to plan curriculum. We're going to plan activities. But first and foremost in that planning of any kind, our first and foremost thing is that we want to keep our students, our community, and when I say community, that's staff, parents, everyone that is a member of the AES community. Our first commitment is doing everything we can to keep all of those people safe. That has to be first, and so that's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of different things. But please know that we take that seriously. We talk about that every day as we're planning and strategizing and looking for ways to provide your students an opportunity to learn, connect, be part of a community of belonging, have a joyous pursuit of academic and other passions. First and foremost in our mind is the safety of everybody in our community. Dr. Torres, did you want to add anything at this point? Is there anything you would want to add? It looks like our questions are winding down.
No, other than to just say thank you to your amazing team, Mr. Bellamy. I really appreciate the time and effort that you put together to put this presentation up for our parents. This has been recorded, and we will be posting this on our website, and you'll be receiving the links from me on Friday. But please, if you have any questions or concerns about the school, about the elementary programs, about the early childhood programs at AES, I implore you, ask you, beg you to please send us questions. We have a belief that nobody should worry alone at AES, and so I want to make sure that you feel supported. We are a community of learners, and your questions help us to make ourselves better and to prepare our school for a positive, proactive, and motivational opening for your children. We're going to be face-to-face soon. This is going to pass, and as a community, we're going to pull together to do the right things for your children, and ultimately to bring back what we all know is that vibrant AES excitement every day at the gate. And I look forward to that day. Charles, team, thank you so much for your help in helping us understand the early childhood programs at AES this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Torres. And at this point, I just want to reiterate how excited our staff is, how excited I am about joining the community, and let you know that a reminder that on the 27th, we will have the reopening sort of webinar for elementary where we'll provide more details to you. But when you get the recording, check out the other webinars that are happening that may apply to you and your students, particularly the social emotional one that's coming up soon. We think that's a big part of what we're doing, and we want you to know and have open communication about what we're going to do to support your kids in this reopening. I thank you all for being here, and look forward to meeting you all in person at some point. So thank you and goodbye.